Ever wish you had a lab partner that could, like, just crunch data around the clock? I know I have.
Yeah,
Well, this whole idea of AI automating science has really taken off lately.
it has.
And today, we're going to dive deep into a new research paper that really puts that idea to the test.
Yeah.
So,
There's this,
go ahead.
oh, sorry. There's this incredible buzz around AI becoming, this independent scientific genius.
Right.
Some researchers even saying that they've developed AI that can manage, like, the entire research process from start to finish.
Yeah, that's a bold claim, which is why we are digging into ScienceAgentBench toward rigorous assessment of language agents for data-driven scientific discovery.
Catchy title.
It is, right? So this paper takes a hard look at what AI can really do in science, not just,
But it was the hype.
not just the hype.
It's like, think of it this way. They designed a sort of obstacle course for AI.
Okay.
But instead of like hurdles and balance beams,
Right.
it's made up of real-world scientific tasks.
Oh, interesting. So no pressure then. So where did they find these tasks? Were they just making them up as they went along?
No, not at all. They extracted 102 tasks from 44 different peer-reviewed scientific papers.
Wow.
These weren't just any papers either. I mean, they spanned like a whole bunch of different fields like bioinformatics, computational chemistry, geographical information science, even psychology and cognitive neuroscience.
Wow, they really covered their bases. It sounds like they were determined to make this as realistic as possible.
Exactly. They even brought in subject matter experts to validate the tasks and make sure the scoring was accurate.
Okay.
It's like having referees for this AI Science Olympics,
I like it.
ensuring fairness and rigor.
That makes a lot of sense. You don't want the AI getting an A+ for solving a problem that doesn't even exist in the real world. How did they make sure the AI wasn't finding any shortcuts or cheating on these tasks?
That's key, right? They implemented several safeguards. For some tasks, they removed crucial data points, or they used like placeholders for important labels in the test data sets.
So no easy memorization tricks for the AI then. It had to figure things out just like a real scientist.
Precisely. And that leads us to the big question. How did the AI actually perform when faced with these real-world scientific challenges?
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat here. Did the AI live up to the hype?
Well, it turns out even the most, advanced AI models, the ones trained on these massive data sets, they still have a lot to learn
Oh, really?
when it comes to the complexities of real-world science.
So they didn't exactly ace the test.
Not quite.
Give me the details. What were the results?
So even the top performer, which was a really highly sophisticated AI model, and it was even equipped with self-correction capabilities, only achieved a 34.3% success rate across all the tasks.
Wow, so that's a far cry from taking home a Nobel Prize.
Yeah.
And that's with self-correction. What does that even mean in this context?
So that means that the AI was able to, identify and correct some of its own errors as it worked through the tasks, which is,
That's pretty cool.
it's a pretty sophisticated capability in itself. But even then, the results show, it still has its limitations.
So not quite ready to replace human scientists just yet. What about those tasks it did manage to complete successfully? Was there any pattern there?
Yeah, it definitely seemed to perform best on tasks that were, more straightforward, like simple analyses with very clear instructions. Like, think of it as the AI equivalent of scientific arithmetic. It can handle the basics.
Makes sense. But I'm guessing things got a little dicier when the tasks became more complex.
Exactly. That's where the AI really started to, stumble.
Yeah.
It struggled with things like, processing really large data sets, developing models, and especially when it had to use specialized scientific tools.
So it's like giving someone a toolbox full of all these high-tech gadgets but no instruction manual.
Right.
They might have all the right tools, but without that knowledge of how to use them, they're not going to get very far.
A perfect analogy.
Uh,
And remember how we mentioned that the AI had access to expert knowledge for some tasks?
I do, yeah.
Well, interestingly enough, that didn't always translate to better performance.
You're kidding? You'd think having access to that kind of specialized information would be a major advantage.
You'd think so, right?
Yeah.
But the research showed that sometimes the AI actually performed worse when it was given access to expert knowledge. It seemed to struggle with knowing how to effectively integrate and apply that knowledge in a practical way.
So it's not just about having the information, it's about knowing what to do with it.
Right, exactly.
Fascinating. Did they see any differences in performance across those different scientific fields that they included?
Definitely, yeah. The AI seemed to struggle the most in fields like bioinformatics and computational chemistry, particularly on tasks that involved, heavy data processing or complex model development.
Those are big tasks. I imagine those fields present some pretty unique challenges, even for like seasoned scientists.
Yeah.
What made these tasks so difficult for the AI, do you think?
Well, those fields, they often involve working with extremely complex and messy data. Think about like analyzing gene sequences, protein structures, or maybe predicting how a drug might interact with the human body. These are incredibly complex systems with countless variables.
Right, so no robot biologists taking over labs anytime soon. What about the other fields they looked at, like geographical information science and psychology? Did the AI have an easier time with those?
Well, they had their own set of challenges too. I mean, these fields often rely heavily on specialized software tools for data analysis and interpretation, and the AI struggled to use these tools effectively, even when it was provided with expert guidance.
Oh, wow. So it's like trying to navigate a foreign city with a detailed map but no sense of direction.
Yeah, yeah.
You might have all the information, but you still get lost without that intuitive understanding.
Exactly. And there's one more like fascinating detail from this research that really kind of sheds light on where the AI was tripping up, and it's this human evaluation component.
Oh, so they brought in some actual scientists to grade the AI's work.
They did.
That sounds intense.
Yeah.
What did they find?
So they had human experts use these really detailed rubrics to actually assess the AI's performance on each task.
Okay.
And they weren't just focused on the final outcome, but they were also looking at like the process the AI used to actually get there.
Okay.
And this is where things get really interesting.
I'm intrigued. Tell me more. What kind of insights did the human evaluation uncover? Okay, I'm really curious now. What did they notice about the AI's process?
So the human evaluation, what that showed was that the AI frequently struggled with like the very beginning stages of a task,
Yeah.
like even just like loading and cleaning the data.
Huh. So even if it could handle some of the more complex analysis later on, if it can't get the data in the system correctly in the first place, it's kind of dead in the water, right?
It's kind of like a domino effect.
Precisely. It's a crucial bottleneck. It really highlights how important those foundational skills are, even for AI.
Right. So where do we go from here? I mean, does this research mean like the whole dream of AI automating science is dead? Not necessarily. I mean, while this research certainly suggests that AI isn't ready to like fully replace, human scientists entirely, it does point toward maybe a different path forward and perhaps even a more interesting one. AI is a powerful science co-pilot, so to speak.
Ooh.